Hello friends. I wanted to make this video today because I really truly value this group, Free Rationals, and I really respect what Steve is trying to do. Recently, in the last couple days, I had a bit of a minor spat with a fellow group member, and out of my own frustration, made some pejorative, insulting comments to that person, and I felt ashamed about it, and I apologize, and I'd like to see stuff like that not happen again in the future. I suppose anytime you get people together, you can't 100% prevent those things, but about a year and a half ago, I made a similar group to this, to a place to have probing, searching discussion. I haven't kept up as diligently with it and moderating it as much as Steve has done for this, but at the same time, I think there was a very good set of guidelines which I think would be a little bit more germane to the difficulty I found myself in this group, in this Free Rationals group. So I'll just briefly read the list of the description of the group I created and see what you guys think about that. Okay, welcome. This is a safe space for free searching and critical thought, a place to explore ideas, theories, news stories, and any other issue which a member might find relevant. All caps. No subject or perspective is taboo. Guidelines, because fuck rules. Rule number 0. Respect is everything. I lapsed in that regard. Number 1. Snarkiness outside of good-natured ribbing is discouraged. And then in brackets, if you were invited to this group, I trust your judgment in that regard. You are a thinker among thinkers. Carry it like that. On that note, rule number 2. Imagine, this is I think particularly useful, imagine every post or comment you make begins with something like, my thoughts on ... or I think ... You are even encouraged to start post comments with these qualifiers to make it more clear to others that you don't know or don't pretend to know everything. 3. Text, posts, links, photos, memes, all welcome if you think they might stimulate discussion. More guidelines to follow if needed or thought of, and I never got to that point because I didn't carry on the group with the same sort of diligence that Steve is carrying on this group. But on those points, I think the snarkiness is one of those things where it seems like a subtle, really unimportant thing when you just make an offhand comment to somebody, but that when you take that little tiny ball and you throw it to somebody, it grows in midair and it gets bigger. And what's like a little bit of offhand, off the cuff comment, especially if you don't like soften it with an LOL or a smiley face or a winky face, it becomes a fucking insult to that person, and the effort they then have to take as a communicator is greater to not react to that than the effort you would have initially had to make in order to not pass them a ball of chaos, right? Which was smaller when it was in your hands, and you had the power to either neutralize it with an LOL or a friendly LOL, because some LOLs can be very condescending and spiteful. But you know what I mean. If there's any snarkiness that you are not absolutely 100% sure, and even if you have to read your comment out loud, or make a video like this and do video comments, because it's very easy now with smartphones to do video comments so people can actually see your facial expression and your tone. But if you're so very often when we have these discussions, the tone becomes very authoritarian and no, you're wrong. This is this, and like this is, and not I think is what it is, but this is what it is, and that's very problematic. And it creates it's doubly insidious because when you do that, you're reaching into the other person and you're pulling out the worst, or you're trying to pull out the worst in them. It's not just being shitty yourself; it's trying to make the other person shitty as well. Think about it like that, and it might sort of give you this idea of the greater responsibility you have as a communicator. I'm not done with the snarkiness, but I want to get to the second point, I suppose, the second rule. Imagine every post or comment you make begins with something like, my thoughts on, which I already kind of discussed. So you don't know everything. You have to internalize that knowledge experientially. I don't know everything. And when I act like I do and I speak authoritatively, I'm bullshitting myself and everybody around me. I think. Here are my thoughts on. Even if you just put it as you have like your signature at the end of your emails, it just says, sincerely so-and-so, phone number, email address, all that. If there was a way in which you could have like a signature at the beginning of every comment you make where it said, my thoughts on, : and then it would just be like, oh, this person is, you're distancing yourself from your thoughts, because once you start to identify with them, any attack on the thought is an attack on you. But if your idea is true, it'll fight for itself. It's fine. And, if it gets destroyed and you're left with like nothing but like a little kernel of it left, you can rebuild. It hurts, it sucks, but you will get over it. And that's something I'm learning and I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to internalize. And every time I lapse, I try and make true, honest amends for it and say, speak a truth of, I misspoke or I spoke out of turn, which I did in the past and I will likely do again, but let's fucking mitigate these problems. As far as specific suggestions, there are a few conversation starters which are like God, they really bring out the worst in me and probably other people. I, for one, cannot stand when people start a comment with, especially as a response, like, pretty sure, dot, 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 like, pretty sure it's actually like this. It's like, you're so smug and self-assured that it's just very frustrating. Please don't ever start, like, I beseech you, don't ever start with that smug, self-assured certainty of, pretty sure it's actually like this. Like, that's how you sound. You may not have said it like that in your mind when you said it, but that's how it sounds when people read it. Your words scream out of the page with a slap across the face. The other thing you cannot do is perhaps say things like, sorry, but sorry is what you do. You say sorry when you've wronged somebody. So there's an implicit admission that you're wronging this person with the arrogance of the comment you're about to make. Sorry, but don't do these things. Those are bad habits. We're here, and again, let me preface this whole video by saying, these are my thoughts on. I'm not saying this is the gospel truth. I accept the fact that I could be wrong. But in my experience, which is more considerable than some and less considerable than others, and that's fine. I think we're all probably on the same page. These are the things that I feel will create a greater discussion. So, if you have to make a video in order that you tether yourself within the bounds of respectfulness, because it's a lot easier to be disrespectful in text and a lot easier to be misconstrued. If you're going to make a video like this, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds to express a point, trust me, not only will you be more want to be respectful, but you will also, the people who see your video will take anything objectionable a little less personally, and you'll humanize yourself more. And if you really, 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 truly want to make your point known because you think it's that good, I guarantee you will agree to the concept and the idea of making a video. Because if you don't, some people just don't speak well, and I account for that, fine. But I guarantee you, it is hard to make a video when you know you're lying. And if your stance is bullshit, that will come out in the wash when you try and film yourself, because it's so easy to type some shit, but when you have to say it on camera and you're there saying lies, you will not do that. So that would be like a bonus suggestion. If you want to make more videos, I'm not going to certainly make videos all the time, but I think making them more would be a way to humanize each other to each other. I think that's the next step. We should use that because our technology allows it. But in the meantime, if we're going to keep typing, let's remember that we have to be especially expressive with how humble we are. We have to be expressive of our humility. We have to be expressive of our own ignorance. And we have to offer our suggestions and thoughts as submitted for your approval or your rejection. And there's something very humbling about that. And that's what it should be. So I truly apologize for my lapses and times I spoke out of turn and times when I reached into somebody else and pulled the worst out of them. And I also apologize for those times that I allowed somebody else to reach into me and pull out the worst in me. I'm trying to be better. And I truly feel, and I hope that you guys are too. God bless. I love you. Deuces. Let's talk about some shit.